Hello, foodies. Today we're going to be making one of my favorite things ever, which is callaloo soup and cassava dumplings. You guys, this soup was so amazing. You want to stick around for this video. Bomb. All right, so first things first, we're going to get started on the cassava dumplings. So I have a cassava here, which I'm going to cut in half so it's going to be easier for me to peel it. Then I'm going to cut off the two ends. You don't necessarily have to do that, but yeah, that's what I'm doing. And cassava has a pretty thick skin, so it's easy to peel. As long as you get your knife through the skin, you just lift the skin up with your knife and peel around. It's pretty easy to peel. So let's go ahead and peel the cassava. And then you want to get your grater, and we are going to be using the finest side of the grater, the side that kind of gets the stuff puree to puree consistency. That is the side we want to go ahead and grate our cassava on. I'm just cutting it into small pieces so it's easier for me to go ahead and grate it. I would not advise you blend it. Well, it depends on the blender that you're using. It might not get it to the consistency that we need to make the dumplings. So go ahead and put some labor of love and grate your cassava. All right, guys, so our cassava is ready and fully grated, and it's going to be wet and mushy like this, and this is what you want. So let's get started on our making our dough. So to the cassava, you guys, what you want to add is some flour, and I am using all-purpose flour here. And then we want to go ahead and add some salt. Then you want to take your hands and mix everything in together, and you want to feel for any lumps of cassava in your flour. So go through the flour and feel, and you also want to distribute the cassava pieces all throughout the flour. So you guys just look at the video and you're going to see what I'm doing. You'll get the gist of it. And one tip to know if your flour has enough salt, you can always just dip your finger into the mixture and taste it at the tip of your tongue. Once your palate picks up any salt, then you know it's good, right? And I don't really have like an exact measurement for dumplings. It all depends on you, how stiff you like your dumplings, how soft you like your dumplings, how big your pot is, how much dumplings you want, and all that jazz. So let's get ready to knead, and you want to gradually add water because remember the cassava was already damp. It already had liquid in the cassava, so you would not need that much water. So gradually add your water and knead your dough together until everything is nice and combined and your dough is nice and stiff, because I like me some stiff dumplings. That's just my preference. If you like soft dumplings, then of course you feel the dough. You would know. If the dough is soft, you get soft dumplings. Your dough is a little stiff, you get stiffer dumplings. It's, common sense, right? And the great thing is, if you make too much dumplings, you could always wrap it up in some saran wrap and refrigerate it until you're ready for it for another time. So it's a win-win. Next time you're making soup or whatever, you won't need any flour again if you make too much dumplings. So don't stress too much on a recipe for dumplings. Just add your ingredients, taste your flour so you know if it has enough salt, and add water and knead. All right, so cover that with a damp wet tissue and set it aside so your dough doesn't dry out. And let me get ready to start our pot. All right, so to our pot, we're gonna add some agua. Don't think I don't know a little Spanish, I know like something. So add your water to your pot, and I have some callaloo, some frozen callaloo that I cut up, and you could freeze your callaloo, guys. You don't have to leave it out. If you find callaloo, you could always freeze it. When you're ready for it, you use it, right? So we're gonna add the callaloo to the pot and let that boil for a few minutes. I'm just, giving it a little mix in the pot, making sure it, submerge into the pot. And then you're gonna cover that and let it boil for like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes or so. Now, to make life a lot easier, I'm going to be blending my callaloo today. So just go ahead and remove your callaloo from the liquid into your blender with a little bit of the liquid. And then you want to go ahead and blend that up in your blender. I'm going to give it a little mix with my spoon. Make sure everything has been blended, and you see this is how you want your callaloo to look. This is the consistency we want. And you want to add back your blended callaloo to the pot, the same pot. Then you want to rinse out all that goodness in the blender, pour it in the pot. We're not wasting anything at all, okay? Want to get your money's worth of callaloo. So we're not wasting. Just give that a little stir. And then we're going to start to build the flavors. Build our flavors in our soup. So I'm going to add about 2 stalks of chives that I cut up, and then I'm going to add my favorite thing, thyme. Because if you ain't got thyme, you wasting time. You know what I mean? You just have to have thyme in your soup, because what are you really doing if you're not thyme in your soup? Let that boil for like 5-10 minutes, right? And then you're going to go on to the next level. Get your chicken, whatever meat that you want to put in your soup. I have some chicken that I had seasoned overnight, and I'm going to add it to my soup. And I season it with onions, peppers, garlic. I use some of that chief all-purpose seasoning, you guys. Whatever seasonings you like to season your meat in, you season it. And I would advise that you season your meat overnight, right? And put it in the fridge. You know you're going to make soup tomorrow. Season your meat tonight, right? Add your meat to the pot. And here now, you see that bowl you had here, seasoning marinating. Just add all the onions, peppers, seasoning juice, everything. Add it in the pot because, again, it's flavors. We're building the flavors, right? And then you want to rinse out that same bowl into the pot because what we doing? Building flavors, right? And you guys, here's the star of the show, pigtails. You can't have cow soup without pigtail. Well, of course, if you do not eat pork, that's fine. But I'm going to add some pigtails, which I've already boiled twice and removed the water. And with pigtails, you guys know pigtails are salty. So you want to pre-boil it first before you add it to your soup because you don't want your soup to be too salty, right? So boil it a couple times, change the water, then add it to your soup. All right, then you want to cover your pot and let it boil for about 15 minutes, 10-15 minutes or so. You guys watch that pot bubble. Look at that pot bubble. So now we want to add coconut milk. I don't think callaloo soup is the same without coconut milk. Make sure you add some coconut milk. Give that a little mix. And then I'm going to add some chicken bouillon cubes in there. And I use 2 of those. All right, and then I'm going to add some corn. And I want my corn to take its time and boil and get nice and soft. So I'm going to add my corn before my other ingredients. Notice how I'm layering the pot and what I'm adding first and what I'm adding after. The stuff that's going to take longer to cook, you want to add it first, right? So just going to let that vibe out for a little. I'll watch that pot. Look at how that pot getting on. It was smelling so good in the kitchen at this point. I wish you guys could smell through the video, but technology and allow us to do that yet. Maybe in 2050 or something. So give that a good stir. Make sure you stir because sometimes, depending on the pot that you're using, it could stick in the bottom. You don't want the soup to burn, right? So make sure you give it a little stir every now and then. And after about 10 minutes or so, I'm going to add my potatoes. And then my dumplings. And I'm just going to roll out my dumplings into little pigtails like so. You roll out your dumplings however you like. This is how I like roll out my dumplings, especially for soup. All right, so for finishing touches, I'm going to add a little bit more thyme. And then I'm going to add 1 pimento pepper. And then I'm going to cover that and let it simmer for another 15 to 20 minutes. All right, guys, so our soup is done. It's time to eat, time to plate us up some soup. And I'm excited about this part because, you guys, Look at that piece of pigtail in there. I love me some pigtail in callaloo soup, you guys. You see, callaloo soup and oil, don't? Two things that I have to have pigtail in. I don't know why, it just does something to my life, okay? So I'm gonna plate up some food and get ready to murder that plate. That bowl of soup. Well, not plate, it's a bowl of soup. Y'all know I love y'all because I'm coming on camera real crusty, but soup was something serious. I just needed to show you guys what it did to me when I tasted it. I know I look crazy here, but I just had to show you guys. Hmm. That was a soup. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you lovely people in my next one. Later.